Hi everyone, Sabrina here, and today I'll be showing you part 2 of my 10 cards 1 kit video using the February Hero Arts card kit. So for my first card, I'm just going to cut down a Nina panel. Right now it's at 4 by 5 1/4, but later on I'm going to trim that down. And for this card I wanted to create the look of clouds, so I'm going to take the blue ink and then also a sheet of copy paper, and I'm going to tear an edge of it. And I'm not really being particular. I don't want any sharp points. See here, I'm just taking them off. But I want to get sort of an uneven edge to make it look like a cloud. And then I'm going to use it as a stencil. And just placing the ink right over the edge of the paper. I don't want to take it all the way up, or else you wouldn't notice that it's a cloud. And I actually think this ended up looking pretty good. And so you don't need a actual cloud stencil. You can do this, and it gives you a pretty nice looking cloud background. Okay, so it's very soft. The inks blend very well, surprisingly. Alright, and then I wanted to have a bird flying through the clouds, so I'm going to take the one that looks kind of like a dove. And before I stamp that, I wanted to create the look of a sun coming from the corner, because I plan on using the sentiment that says "sending you sunshine," so I felt like I should have some yellow coming in to look like a sun. And I'm just using Distress ink for that. And then here, when I don't know really where I'm going with the card, I sometimes place the stamps and see if I like that. And then I will go ahead and emboss this bird. I wanted it to look like a dove, a white dove, but I didn't want it to blend into the background. So here I'm going to test out 2 of my embossing powders. This one is called Tinsel. It is by Ranger. And this is actually the one I end up using. When it melts, it sort of gives a, I guess, like a cream eggshell kind of color. So it's not totally white, but it still kind of gives the appearance of white. And then the other one I used is called Holographic, I think. And at first I'm like, it just looks like a shiny white. But once you put it on the black, you can see the cool effect that that embossing powder gives. But I ended up, like I said, liking the white dove. But I also, to again make it pop off a little more, I'm going to layer up the black doves together, and then I'm going to offset that white one. So it also built up a few layers, and I like how that looked. So there's my dove. And then now I wanted to put something in his mouth. So I decided on using some twine. This is just some black and white. And then I'm going to stamp out my sentiment that says, again, "Sending you sunshine," and I used a yellow Distress Oxide for that. And I wanted it to look like a tag, so I made my own tag with my scissors. I'm going to poke a hole with a pin, and kind of struggled with this because it was so small. But then I made the hole a little bit bigger with my scissors. In the end, you don't really notice the hole because I'm going to put leaves over it. But I needed it to be big enough to put my twine through, so that's why I'm using my scissors. Okay, and so here I'm placing it onto my card panel. And I wanted to use that leaf. That leaf I used in the first card. I had that already stamped and pre-cut. Alright, so that's kind of what I'm going for. Right now I'm going to glue it down, but I realize that it's not really popping off. So I will pull that back up and place some black cardstock and layer it. And I feel like that looks a lot better and makes the sentiment stand out. And I'm not sure if I show you that. No. So now I'm going to re-glue that down and then place the twine behind the bird to make it look like it's in its mouth. Okay, and then I wanted to have a black frame around it. I really like to put black frames around my cards. I think it really helps the panel um, stand out. Okay, and then I'll just add some double-sided tape and place that onto my frame. And then I still felt like it needed something, so I'm going to add the same black and white twine and add a little bow. So for part 2, I think this one's my favorite card. And when I cut embroidery floss or twine, I have a separate scissor for that because it does dull down your regular scissors. Okay, and then I felt like I needed another leaf. I had this leaf in my stash, and I'm like, okay, it's the exact same color as the ink that came in the kit, so I just placed that behind the tag. And then I will glue the black panel onto my card base. And that will complete card number 1. Or I guess card number 6. Okay, so out of all the 10, this is probably my least favorite. I still like how it turned out though. But I'll tell you ways to improve this if you are wanting to copy this card. So the first thing I did is from last month's kit, I cut a heart. So I'm going to use the heart as sort of a stencil. And using the blue ink, I will fill in that heart. Okay, and then I had these 2 birds from one of the other cards where I actually changed the birds to red and yellow. I had these blue ones still, so I wanted to use them on this card. And here I'm just, this is my thinking process. I like to put things onto the card and see where it gets me. But I decided that the heart kind of wasn't sticking out enough for me, so I'm taking the music notes and I'm just going to stamp them all over the heart. And if you want to do this, I would recommend spreading the music notes out more because they kind of all blur together. And plus the wood grain is sort of difficult to stamp on, so a few of the music notes don't really look like music notes. But it's okay. My bird covers a majority of it. And I found that the music notes on the sides of the heart looked a lot better than the ones in the center. So I would just say to spread them out a little bit more. Okay, and then I'll heat set that. This is a Snow embossing powder by Recollections. And then I'm going to place my 2 birdies there. I wanted to use that really beautiful blue ribbon that matched really well with the blue ink that came in the kit. So I'm just going to place a strip of that on the bottom. And I should have used my fabric scissors. Oh, I guess I do use them. Okay, and then I'm going to tie a little bow. So this card was pretty fast to make. At this point, my gears were rolling, trying to figure out some more card ideas. But after this one, I got my stamina back. And then I decided to pop up those 2 birds. And then for my sentiment, I chose "You Are One Cool Chick." And I'm going to put that on the upper right-hand corner. And emboss that with the same white embossing powder. Okay, and that will complete card number 7. Oh, never mind. I do put some Wink of Stella onto my birds. I think I did this with all of my cards. Alright, for card number 8, I will cut another Nina panel. And I recently bought Distress Oxides. I think I have 12 colors. And I really wanted to create a background. So this is my first time using these inks. You'll actually see me unwrap a few of them. And I wanted to create a night scene. So here, this is Broken China. And I'm being really messy with it. You can see it's not blending well. If I had to redo this, I probably would use Bristol or watercolor paper, because those blend really well, I heard, on those two types of paper. But the more ink you layer on, the better it blends, I found. So I do end up liking this panel. I usually try to make things work before I scrap it. But I was kind of getting nervous that it was looking a little bit splotchy. And then this is where it looks really scary. I added the black to the edges, and then I went back with all 3 colors again and tried my best to blend them. I didn't show that because it took me 9 minutes to make that background, but I will show you that I did flick some water on. I got a huge blob in the center, but I'm going to stamp my bird on top of it, and I think it ends up looking okay. So I wanted this bird to be on that branch, so I'm going to use VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I would recommend using the Misty here. Luckily, I was able to line both my branch and my bird up perfectly, so that's good. And then I used some clear embossing powder and heat set the branch. And then, oh yeah, so I guess for the bird I decided to use my Misty. And this was actually my favorite bird in the kit. I think I used him on like 4 cards. Okay, and then I'm also going to heat set that bird. And for the sentiment I chose Spread Your Wings, and I'll stamp that on the top right hand corner. But before I do that, again I'm going to use that pretty ribbon. And this actually matched perfectly with the Broken China ink as well. And using washi tape, I'll tape down the edges, making sure it's straight, and then I'll tie another little bow. Okay, and then now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And then I decided to mat that with black again. And I'm going to pop that panel up because it was kind of warped. And this really sticky tape helps make it straight again. And then I'll glue that one flat onto my card base. And I have more white space on the top and the bottom of the card. Okay, so for this card I wanted to create another scene. So I'm going to use that hummingbird again. And using the same colors that I did in the first video, I will use blue, green, purple, and pink. And like I said, I have to do it a few times sometimes to get the blend that I like, because sometimes the colors muddy together. But I like how this bird came out. I do use my white gel pen to brighten the bird up, and then I'll die cut. And I'm also going to die cut the fence, the tree branch, and the leaf dowel. And then I also cut out some grass. And then with the wood grain paper, I cut my own little tree trunk. And then I'm going to layer the branches similar to what I did in the first card. And I also cut that tree branch and the leaf in green. I'm going to layer the green on top of the brown to give the tree some green leaves. And that's what I'm doing now. I appreciate all the comments I got for my first video. I'm excited that people are watching even though it is about a week late. And I think I was a little harsh in the first video. I do like this kit. It just wasn't my favorite. I do like the challenge and I liked how all of my cards ended up. If anyone's interested in buying these cards, I will list it on my Etsy. And so now I'm just going to glue down the fence. And the fence and the grass dye, they came in a set. I'm pretty sure I got it from a Chinese website. It was really cheap. But if you order from them, the dyes are quality. But, you know, obviously they're coming from China. So I think I wait close to 3 or 4 weeks to get my dyes. But they're really helpful because, you know, I sell my cards and this is what I do as my job, so I can't buy really expensive products all the time. And they work just fine. I don't mind waiting in the mail. Alright, so now I'm kind of layering up the birds. I felt like I needed a bird on top of the fence. And so I stamped it with red and yellow ink. And I forgot to film me making the birdhouse apparently, but all I did there was cut a little square of yellow and a little triangle of orange for the roof and layered it on top. And then using a black marker, I created a little hole. I felt like it needed something hanging from the tree, and it needed some more color to tie in with the bird. Okay, and then I'm just going to glue that onto my card. And then I wanted to tie in some red. So I'm going to color the heart with red ink from last month's kit and place it above the little yellow bird. And again, I'll place some Wink of Stella on there and put some glossy accents on. And that completes card number 9. I really like that one. For card number 10, I wanted to use the feather. And so I'm using the green and blue ink that came in the kit to stamp the feather and also my favorite bird. And then I wanted to layer that feather on top of that bird. It fit perfectly. So just using some pop dots, I placed it onto the bird. And then I wanted a few more. So this bird is going to be blue and purple. Exact same technique I used in the first video. And then again, if I have any white spots, I go back with my lightest color. Okay, and then I wanted a purple and pink bird. Okay, and I'm gonna be honest, card number 10 is pretty much a leftover card. These were all of the things I had on my desk, and I just decided to put them all into one card, and I think it turned out pretty nice looking. I like it. So what I did was I layered the nest on top of that white scallop, and then I put my bird on top of the nest. Right now I'm creating my own banner. I used some blue paper to kind of frame the banner, and I'm gonna stamp happy birthday using the green ink. And my original idea with this kit, with this card, was to put birthday hats onto my bird, but I kind of thought that looked stupid, so I do take them off. But you know, it's always good to have birthday cards um, around, so I did keep the sentiment as happy birthday. And then I will glue down my scallop, and then my nest, and my favorite bird. And then here I'm trying to figure out if I want another bird, if I want two birds. But first I decide that I should glue down my banner. And then I realize that there's a lot of white over the sentiment, so I'm going to tie a bow and place that towards the top. And then here I'm looking at my birds, and I felt like I wanted them in the corner there, but it felt kind of random, like they were just floating in midair. So I am gonna cut a piece of brown, the same brown that I used for the nest, and using a tiny sliver of it, I'm gonna use that to kind of ground my birds. And I did stamp a purple heart to tie in some more purple into the card. Like I said, I think my favorite part of the kit, besides obviously the stamp set, were the inks. They were really pretty inks. Okay, and then I popped up the purple bird. And then I'll go ahead and place that onto my Nina card base. So here I'm going to show you all 10 cards. I kind of prefer seeing all 10 rather than just the 5 that I made. Let me know which is your favorite card from part 2. And I appreciate all comments and likes and subscribes. I will have the March kit up sometime this month. I'm on spring break, so I should be able to get a whole bunch of cards done. If anyone's interested in purchasing these cards, I will post them on my Etsy shop. I'm going to post my top 5 favorite, and if you purchase one, I will send a second one that I made in one of these videos to you. The second card will be a surprise, which I think is kind of fun. Anyway, I really appreciate everyone who watches these videos. I will have my video up for the March kit within the next couple of weeks, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!